Well, good evening to everyone. Hopefully, got some of you out there watching our first Facebook Live. We plan to do one of these every week just to keep in contact with everyone and perhaps tell you a little bit more about our beers. We'll be sharing a beer every week and maybe in future I'll perhaps put up in advance what beer it will be, so if you can line up that same beer, be even better. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Trevor. I'm the founder of brewed Brewing, and as I say, we'll be sharing a beer every week. And I thought the best beer to start off with, our first ever beer, of course, Mayflower Gold. And there it is, Mayflower Gold. And it was the first beer we brewed back in 2012. Now, let's just see. I can open it up. So, the best thing to do is start enjoying the beer. Okay, so Mayflower Gold, 6.5% IPA, so a nice, flavoursome, powerful beer. And as I said, it was the very first beer we brewed, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of how we first brewed it and what there is in that beer. Okay, so if you've got any comments as we're doing this, please feel free to comment. If you've got any questions, again, please feel free to ask any questions. And yeah, okay, so there it is, Mayflower Gold. Lovely. Still our first ever beer, and still I think one of my favourite beers that we make. So Mayflower Gold, you say, we started that off 2012 when we first started our first beer we ever made. We didn't make it at Billericay. That time we didn't have a brewery. We just had the name, but we were lucky enough to do the first collaborative brew with Dominion Brewery, a chap called Andy Skeen, who's a lovely Canadian brewer. He doesn't do a lot of brewing now. He actually owns Queen Street Brew House now, and runs that in Colchester. So once the lockdown's over, definitely well worth a visit up there. Gets a great range of beers up there, and learned lots brewing with Andy there. So, when I first started the company, lots of people when they first start off, they start brewing, first mic brewery, it's sort of typical, I say, boring brown bitter. They start off with something about 4%, but I wanted to start with something actually a little bit more exciting. So, a 6.5% IPA, packed full of flavour, was something a bit more interesting to start off with and grab people's attention. And we actually did something really different as well, is we packed it in these very special bottles, and here's one of the original bottles. It says on there, if I can say it, number 1. That was the first bottle we ever filled of Mayflower Gold, and you can see it was in one of these fancy bottles with the champagne cork on there, so it really made it a special beer having it in there. And we did that for about the first year or so of brewing that beer. But in the end, actually, putting this cork in here, putting that cage on there, was such a labour-intensive process. Getting the cork in there in the first place, it's quite a lever, you have to ram it in, then getting the cage on there, so fiddly as well. About 1 in 10 used to go wrong, and it was just such a labour-intensive thing. And we've also found that people sort of thought, God, that's a really special beer. I'll get one of those. I'll keep it for a special occasion, actually. Yeah, people didn't then come and buy any more of it. So putting it into just a standard bottle like this, it becomes okay. It's not an everyday beer. It's not one you're going to drink 5 or 6 pints of every night. But it seems people have drunk it more. And it's a lot easier for us putting it in the bottles as well. So that was the first beer. We've got a very few of these left. From 2012. I open one every Christmas Day just to see what it tastes like. I've only got about 2 or 3 left. Last Christmas Day I opened one, yes, still tasting absolutely lovely. Okay, so about the beer. So the beer, you can see it's bottle conditioned, so that's why you've still got that a little bit of a haze to it. Not too bad. Nice condition to it. So the bottle conditioned beer, it means it's got the yeast in the bottle, so it carries on fermenting in there. I've left the last little bit in the bottle. Last little bit there has got the yeast in there. Some people like it with the yeast, but personally I prefer it without the yeast. Because you get more fermentation happening in the bottle. It gives a nice natural carbonation to it, not fizzy, not gassy like Coca-Cola, like some beers are when they're carbonated. A nice head on it, and it really develops the flavour as well. Okay, and I say, the fact that this one, that's now over 7 years old and still tasting good, shows that used to actually preserve the beer in there as well. So, just a bit more about the beer. It's an IPA, Indian Pale Ale. So the Indian Pale Ale, the story behind those was that they were brewed back in the days of the when Britain had its empire, and the British living out in India couldn't get beer out there, so beer was brewed in this country and exported out to India. It had to survive the journey through the hot seas out there several weeks, and so they were made quite strong in alcohol, 6-7%, and absolutely packed full with hops. So the IPA, a lot of IPAs nowadays are not like that. So we want to actually go back to what was original IPA, strong in alcohol, lots of hops, so that we could preserve it, but actually get back to the flavour as well. So yeah, it's a lovely, refreshing beer. It's 6.5%. It doesn't taste 6.5%. It's very moreish. Now, without the hops in there, we use a mixture of British and American hops in there. So British hops are used for bittering, and then American hops give it nice citrusy, almost sort of orange marmalade sort of aroma to it. Very nice. And what we do find, is it's a very moreish drink. 6.5%. It should have a health warning on it, because after you've had one, yeah, you always tend to want to have another one. So yeah, that's lovely of the Mayflower Gold. So just talking a little bit more about why Mayflower Gold. Of course, because Billericay has all its connections with Mayflower. If you're going around Billericay, you see that name Mayflower all over the place. And because when the Mayflower sailed, several people from Billericay, or they met in Billericay before they sailed on the Mayflower. So hence the name of the Mayflower. And I sort of thought that we're actually starting a new journey. Starting a microbrewery was a bit of a new world, going out to a new world, so they said the Mayflower was like that. The original Mayflower bottle, of course, has got a picture. It's not the actual Mayflower on there, but it's a picture of the ship there to represent the Mayflower. And of course, this year is the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower sailing, and it's a pity with all the restrictions going on. There's lots of things planned for it, and we're hoping that some of those can still go ahead. In Billericay in particular, lots of occasions to commemorate, lots of events going on. We're hoping in September there's an event on at Mill Meadows, a country fair there, to celebrate the fact. And we've got planned lots of Mayflower beers that we're hopefully going to make. We're making lots of the Mayflower Gold, definitely. And we made Mayflower Pale, we made Pilgrim's Fathers last month. And we've got some others planned, which we hope still, obviously, with things how things are going this year. It's very difficult to plan anything, but hopefully we should have some other Mayflower Gold, Mayflower beers during the year, and definitely Mayflower Gold will be available, yeah. So we've got, we're getting quite low on the bottles of this at the moment, but we've got some more that we can put into bottles fairly soon, and you can have this in the polypins as well. So polypins, as you don't know, it's a bit like a wine box, bag in a box. So you can have proper real ale at home. You can't get to the pub, but bring the pub to your house. Okay, and we can deliver those to you around the local area. We can have 5, 9, 18, 35 pint of this might be a little bit much if you're stuck at home, but yeah, the 9 pint ones are really popular. It's sort of a good amount that will last nicely for a week. Okay, so explain the hops in there. We've got, because it's to mark the journey to America, we did a British hops, and the British hop in there, the bittering hop's called Pilgrim, funny enough, so really appropriate enough. And the American hops, which are put in at the end of the boiling process, and each week I'll perhaps talk a little bit about the brewing process. Cascade and Willamette, and they give the lovely citrusy aromas that you get with the beer. Okay, so can't be better than enjoying that. It's a lovely day, sat in the garden enjoying this. Okay, so hopefully you're still managing to get some of our Billericay beers. If you haven't managed to get any yet, then look on our website. You can order a case of them online, or send us an email, sales@billerickybrewing.co.uk, and we'll get back to you. Just send your phone number through for that. We'll phone you back, and we'll get some beer out to you. We just the shop itself is closed. No one comes to the shop. We're just sort of keeping everyone safe as well. So keep everyone at home as much as possible. Keep the contacts as least as possible, and you just order, pay over the phone, and then we'll deliver the beer out to you later that day or later that week. Okay, so that's a little bit about the beer. Also, I need to say about the glass as well. So the glass, I've got a nice glass selection as well, so I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So this one is the glass from last year's Billericay Lions Beer Festival. So sadly not taking place this year, but it's the great local beer festival, fantastically run by Pete every year. He always gets a fantastic beer selection. It's a real pity that it's not going to be on this year, because they're going to come and brew a special beer with us just for the festival. So we'll definitely got to do that next year, so it's something to look forward to. So that's always the best. And this one is, let's just see, I'll see the number on there. What number was this one? Beer Festival 2009, the 9th Billericay Beer Festival. So this year would have been the 10th, so next year's going to have to be the 10th. So we look forward to that then. So that's a little bit about the glass there. Okay, so all I can say is hope you'll still manage to get hold of our beer. Hope you're enjoying the beer. Hope you're all staying healthy. Look after yourself, look after everyone else. This time will pass, and we're really missing everyone in the micropub. But I'm sure as long as we all do the right things, then we will get together again to enjoy a beer together soon. So cheers.